Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I said welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast with Andy Ruther and Joe Prano. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Port Hueneme, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Hello, Andy.
Morning, man.
Hey, good morning.
All bundled up over there.
It's cold. It's cold here. Got the heater on in the shed. Got the big dog Bob laying on the couch, so he's a monster. He's breathing in the room. Should warm me up rather quickly. Also, Steve Cohen has taken $765 million and lit it on fire in the corner like the Joker in The Dark Knight. So I will be warmed up by that.
Bro. Okay, well, first of all, we can get to your Mets in Juan Soto signing, but then I want to talk about the overall picture
of baseball in general and
just
sports money and all that stuff.
More baseball.
Well, yeah, because the issue obviously in baseball is there's no salary cap. And I actually have a bunch of friends of mine growing up, still in contact with. I know that they're all on. A bunch of my friends from high school, Yankees fans, are all on a group chat with another friend of mine from high school. Like, I'm not in the group chat with all the Yankees fans, but another good friend of mine who is a Mets fan is. And I just sent him a message. I go, "Can you pass this along to our friends from the group chat?" I was like, "How's not having a salary cap working out now, you poor fucks?" No one wanted this. The Mets fans didn't want this. Red Sox fans didn't want this. Cubs fans didn't want this. Marlins fans didn't want this. Dodgers fans didn't want. No one wanted this. Only the Yankees fans wanted this. And now they get it. They offered $760 million to Juan Soto. And he said, fucking no. He literally said, "I'd rather play for the Mets." And there's never been a time prior to the Dodgers getting sold by McCourt and the Mets getting sold by the Wilpon that any other team was going to go, "We'll just match you." And now that the Yankees lore has fallen greatly, that they're literally not even the most exciting team in New York City, nor the richest team. Like, did the Yankees ever get a free agent again from the Mets or from the Dodgers? Like, you're not the fucking baseball is integrated. TVs are in color. You don't have the most money. This shit is Vince Carter, dude. And Yankee fans are coping.
Well, I don't agree with that. I mean, look, the teams, not every great player is going to go to the Mets.
No, but at this point, the Mets are throwing money out there. The Dodgers throwing out money out there. The Phillies signed Harper. The Red Sox have gotten into the game. Like, the days of the Yankees just going, "Who's the number one free agent? I guess we're getting that guy," is over. Also, the lore of playing for the Yankees is over. Juan Soto picked the Mets over the Yankees, and it wasn't about money.
Was he offered the same amount?
He was offered $760 million by the Yankees,
So
and $765 million by the Mets. And now every bumbling moron who hasn't left the 1990s would say, you're worth $100 million more on the Yankees in all the ad revenue you can get, and just being for the Yankees, like you'll be on the cover of all the magazines, and you'll be on the cover of all the video games, and you'll be like, you'll make that $5 million up and then some. And guess what? Scott Boras said, that's not true, bro. You actually won't. You'll probably make more money if you're a New York Met. And you have a better chance to win. And they made you a better offer.
Why would he make more money on the Mets? What's that argument?
The argument is the tide has turned. Cool story. The Yankees, I saw somebody on Twitter last night put, have fun playing for the little brother. And I said, the Yankees are the big brother the same way Donnie Wahlberg is. The 90s are a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, but hold on. Let me step in here on that. The Yankees still have a longer, more storied history, all that. The Yankees
you just told me fucking 2 episodes ago that the Giants World Series in fucking 2011 and 2007 don't matter.
No, but hold on. But we're looking at like the whole history. It's By the way, I don't have a stake in this. I'm not saying either way. I'm just making a counter to your point. I'm saying the Yankees, as far as a world name, if I'm wearing a Yankees hat or a Yankees jacket in Buenos Aires,
Two things
holds more weight. That's all I'm saying.
2 things on this.
Pick a city.
2 things on this. First of all, Jay-Z made the Yankee hat more famous than a Yankee can. So, tough time to be a guy who's wearing a Yankees hat out there. At this point, it doesn't symbolize being the best and richest team in New York City. It symbolizes you liking to fuck children. Okay. So the brand has taken a bit of a shot over the last couple of days, but also we have talked about the problem with baseball. We have talked extensively about the problem with baseball. Baseball is not the NBA. Baseball isn't even the NFL. Baseball isn't soccer in its international appeal. Baseball is a particularly American sport. And if you are, and we've also talked about how baseball fans are dwindling. You have a set number of baseball fans. Like people aren't coming over. Shohei Ohtani could fucking win the Cy Young next year and win the MVP again. You're not drawing new baseball fans from fucking Indiana, right? Like baseball's kind of dying.
Well, yeah, no, look.
And anybody who is currently a baseball fan, an unbiased baseball fan, would say that last year, by all metrics, the New York Mets were somewhere between 15 and 20 times more exciting than the Yankees.
I know, but all my point to you is that we're talking 1 year. All I'm saying is that when it comes to name, again, I don't really care either way. I don't really have I don't have a dog in this. I'm saying if you look at the brands, that's all I'm saying.
What I'm telling you is Juan Soto thought he has a better chance to win from the Mets. He got $5 million more from the Mets, and his super agent Scott Boras did not say, take $760 million from the Yankees. You'll make it up. You'll make it up in ad sales.
Well, let me ask about the deal in specifics. Like when we talk about these deals and Juan Soto and your return on investment, I know you can opt out after 5 years. That's an option.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still amazed that we're doing these deals for 15 years for a 26-year-old. I guess my question is, why?
Well, one, though, Bryce Harper signed for $400 million or something like that, and Aaron Judge signed for 300 and change, something like that. Whatever their deals were.
Bryce Harper's 330, Aaron Judge 360.
Right.
Harper was 13 years, Aaron Judge was 9 years.
So those deals were done 4 years ago and a year ago. And now Shohei Ohtani and Juan Soto are in the $700 million range. The idea that $700 million will still be a lot of money, that $51 million a year will still be a lot of money 5 years from now is hilarious, let alone 15 years from now. Of course, it'll still be a lot of money, but like these contracts around, this is the Yankees' fault. There's no salary cap. Baseball, I'm a Mets fan that is benefiting from the lack of salary cap and having the richest owner in baseball. And I will say, baseball needs a salary cap. Baseball has always needed a salary cap. I've been saying it since I was 9. Baseball refuses to have a salary cap. I don't know why.
Well, let's get to that. I assume, obviously, the baseball union is the most powerful union of all the pro sports, at least here in America. That's probably the reason. But the question is, and we had a call. I don't have to play the call because we're already talking about it. The question on the salary cap is that, first of all, most people would agree it needs one. But I guess the question I would ask for the people who make these decisions is, it doesn't enhance your game when you don't have one. I'm talking long term. So like we joke about it every year, but it's why it's so watchable and why so many fans are so engaged. Every idiot fan who roots on their NFL team on week 1 thinks they have a chance at winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So that's part of the allure of football, and they've made it a fair system. My point is they saw the writing on the wall. They looked at the future.
Major League Baseball is in a place right now that
but they don't look at the future. Is my point.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The baseball, like the powers that be in baseball, kowtow to the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Dodgers more than NFL could ever kowtow to the Cowboys and the Patriots and the Steelers, whatever. Like baseball, it is like
but even I'm saying from Joe, even from the owners, like you brought up those traditional teams that have had longstanding owners. You would think baseball's owners would say, "Hey guys, if we want to ultimately make more money, don't we want it a more competitive game?" And again, I would argue it's very similar in the NBA where small markets continue to excel.
Yeah, but what you're talking about, Andy, is again, what I'm saying is they kowtow. So, hello. Hi, Bob Castellini of the Cincinnati Reds here. I'd like to talk about how parity would be good for the game. And George Steinbrenner, before he died, was like, take him into the alley and beat him with sticks. And Bud Selig's fucking minions would grab him and literally take that guy out there and beat him with sticks. The Major League Baseball has kowtowed to the New York Yankees forever. This is what makes today, Andy, as a baseball fan, if you're a non-biased baseball fan, if you are a fan of any single baseball team besides the New York Yankees, today is a glorious day. The Rabbits got the gun. You wanted this, you got it. If you go on any social media platform right now, Twitter, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook, it doesn't matter. Today, we are all drinking and eating and swimming in Yankees fans' cope. They are spiraling, and it is glorious, and it is all their fault. Your legacy means nothing. Your legacy never meant anything. The only reason you ever got any of the people is money. And now multiple teams have more of it than you. It's a terrible play. I have been 9-year-old Joe Prano would have stood at a podium in front of an auditorium of people and without pubes giving you a TED talk on why Major League Baseball desperately needs a salary cap. I'm assuming it's going to happen now that the Yankees. I said this on Twitter last night. I said I wish George Steinbrenner was still alive. It would have been fun. It would have been like the U.S. versus Russia in the 80s in a nuclear arms race. Soto might have gone to $1 billion. But Uncle Stevie stuffed Hal Steinbrenner in a fucking locker. And now we're probably going to get a salary cap.
You think?
It's probably not that far away. It's more likely than it's ever been. Because the Rebels just blew up the Death Star.
I mean, I look right now, if you look at the top players, the largest contracts, I mean, it's all big markets. Soto, in order, Soto, Ohtani, Trout, Betts, Judge, Machado, Lindor, Tatis, Harper. It's like New York.
San Diego's not a huge market.
It's not a huge market, but dude, if you look at population wise,
yeah,
I bet it's crushing any team from like this, basically not in Texas or the Midwest. My point is this: it's like if I pulled up the top 10 football contracts, dude, you're going to have Jacksonville, Cincinnati. Do you see my point? Like Detroit, you're going to, it's like, my point was baseball. I think football saw this and how they made their future. Basketball saw how important international was going to be for future. The markets in Asia, the markets in Europe, etc. My point is, it's like baseball didn't see any sort of future. Even though I know what you're saying as far as baseball being an American sport, it's still very popular in Asia. It's very popular in South America.
But you don't understand. What the Yankees did in baseball is what the Cowboys think they did in football. Like everywhere in the world, if you just like don't have a baseball team, you're a Yankee fan. Because of Mickey Mantle. Babe Ruth, he hit the home runs. Babe Ruth has been dead for 100 years. You had a good run. Good run.
If this Soto contract does force a salary cap, I'm obviously all for it. It'll make the game better. I have a hard time believing it'll actually happen.
The horrible part about it is, and I've said it since the day Steve Cohen took over the Mets. I'm the only person that's been fucking screaming it since I was 9 goddamn years old. And now the Mets are the team with the money. Here's the thing. It's going to infuriate people. Now, today, watch ESPN. There'll be 1 million people talking about it. Social media will be a flowing with salary caps. These contracts are out of control. And I said it. I had to do this all the years. If you can't beat them, don't join them. Pass them. Fuck them.
Yeah.
This is 100%, not 98%, not 99%. This is the Yankees' fault. Get fucked. Enjoy the fucking Bronx, you fucking losers.
What's baseball's fault? And obviously the Yankees were the leader of those massive contracts, especially in the 2000s, late 90s, where they would just sign everybody, bring in a new guy, bring in a new pitcher,
Here's the thing though, Andy. And people are talking about it. Yankee fans are pretending it's not happening. Here's the thing. The Yankees weren't in on Ohtani. They had just signed Judge. They weren't in on Ohtani. They weren't in on Harper. They weren't in on Trout. This is the first time the Yankees said, we're getting this fucking guy no matter what it takes, and they didn't get him. They paid Derek Jeter $19 million a year when the rest of the league would have offered him $8 million. Never in the history of baseball has two owners entered the room and had a dick swinging contest, and the Yankees had to zip up and leave. Ding dong, the witch is dead.
And I guess let's talk about the actual contract as far as is it as a guy who's a casual guy when it comes to this, is he that good?
He's that good. I mean, based on what? Like, is he good enough to make $51 million a year? No, that's not real. One is.
No, I guess I'm comparing, not saying, anybody can, when it comes to the monetary value of somebody, like you are what the market dictates. So like, I'm not going to argue whether he's worth that much money. I guess my question is like, this type of deal is, I'm comparing him as a player to other players in the league.
He's 26 years old. As a hitter, he's almost unmatched in terms of not just power, but his on-base percentage, his eye is essentially unmatched. He is a 26-year-old Ted Williams. He probably shouldn't play left field. We'll worry about that in spring training, or at the very least in next year's spring training. He should probably play left field and not right field. He's got a pretty good arm, but he's not that great a fielder. Left field's the easier position to field. He should probably be in left field. That being said, I'm not, if he signed this contract saying, and I want to play right field, I'm not that fucking worried about it. He's an above average right fielder.
So I guess, yeah, that's what I was asking. I'm just trying to compare, and I know it's in a way apples to oranges, a contract with the player's value versus Shohei Ohtani or something.
Shohei Ohtani did not pitch last year. Obviously, that's part of his deal, is he will pitch. Now, the Dodgers signed Shohei Ohtani knowing there's a chance he pitches 100 more innings in his career. If they signed him thinking the $700 and whatever million is only worth it if Shohei Ohtani pitches 4 full seasons, then they're dumb. I love Shohei Ohtani. I've always loved Shohei Ohtani. I have been standing Shohei Ohtani since he was on the Angels. I continue to stand Shohei Ohtani as a Dodger. Counting on Shohei Ohtani to be a Cy Young winner at any point in his career would be dumb. I hope, and this is a guy who knows we will likely have to go through a Dodgers team if we want to win a World Series, right? I hope Shohei Ohtani pitches. I love baseball. It's good for baseball. I hope Shohei Ohtani is healthy enough to pitch. But the Dodgers didn't give him $700 million, not knowing that there was a potential that he's just a guy who hits 50 home runs every year and steals 50 bases and just absolutely fucking is a force in the middle of your lineup. Bonus if he comes back and pitches.
Yeah.
So it's hard to compare the value.
Okay.
This is the next big free agent in baseball. It's always going to change. There's going to be a ton of guys from a ton of different positions. Pitcher, obviously you're not giving pitchers 15-year deals. But from an AAV standpoint, from the value you pay some guy for per season, that is the NFL quarterbacks situation. Trevor Lawrence isn't better than Patrick Mahomes. Jordan Love isn't better than Patrick Mahomes. They're not even fucking close. Okay? Kirk Cousins certainly isn't better than Josh Allen. Dak Prescott isn't better than Josh Allen. But every year, your quarterbacks do until you hand them a fucking boatload of money. It's dumb, but you know what? It's the way it is. The reason it's extra dumb in football to go pay Kirk Cousins, which Falcons fans are finding out about, and Vikings fans have suddenly opened their eyes like the Undertaker to everything I ever told them, is because you have a salary cap. In football, you have a salary cap. When you have Kirk Cousins on your Vikings team, your defense is gonna fucking stink. When it comes to baseball, I'll tell you what, and this is where Steve Cohen being Steve Cohen, he needs to say, I didn't just have $700 million allotted this offseason. Now, go get Pete Alonso, go get a fucking pitcher, and win the World Series.
How would they even institute a salary cap? How would that even work?
It's hard to put fucking soda back into the bottle, right? Like
that's what I'm saying. How do you suddenly put guardrails on something?
Yeah. Which is what every single baseball fan has been saying for years, which is if you let them keep doing this, it's eventually going to get to the point where you can't do anything about it. And it might be there. Like, do you institute a salary cap right now that's $450 million and you just go, okay, well, no one's even close to that yet, but we have to put a cap on it and say, 5 years from now, that's where the top teams' payrolls will be. So let's just plan for, like, essentially let's institute a cap that no one's going to worry about right now, but at some point will become a hard cap.
But I do feel like I don't know, maybe it's just what I see. I feel like there's not enough people talking about a cap when these deals happen. Because that's my first thing is, oh, there's no cap. This is terrible for a sport. I feel like you said everybody's arguing Yankees Mets, and I'm going, whoa. Guys, again, don't you want every fan to feel like their team has a chance on opening day? The same way Panthers fans this year are going, I don't know, man. Bryce Young's second year, we could be a sneaky playoff team. You need that mindset, the delusional fan, as we call them.
The ship sailed. So that ship sailed when ships were sailing.
But I think it all goes back to that, in my opinion.
You could literally go to the 1920s, like, why do we even do it here? See, Yankees are going to win it all. I mean, it's fun and all to go out there and root for the Athletics, but we got no shot. The Yankees have Ruth. They have Garrick. They have all the players.
Yeah, what you definitely need for a sport.
They built a stadium around them. They're calling it the house that Ruth built. No one's saying the house that Ashburn built. Why? Because we're terrible. They've got all the guys.
Baseball fans have a glass half empty. Football fans have a glass
actually
half
a lot
full.
like our country. See? We're America. No one's going to push us around. We're going to go World War II. We'll take down Hitler. In fact, how about that anthem of ours? We should play it before baseball games. It's like the Yankees or the U.S. Army. Isn't it great? We should play the anthem every day before the games.
But you know what? It is interesting. I've never thought about it. I'm sitting here right now. My mindset is no different in 2024 than it was in, let's say, 2001 with the sport of going, and you're right. It's like, well, the Yankees are just going to sign people or whoever. And you're like, it doesn't have a chance. It's like, that's almost 25 years later. And I don't do that with other sports.
Indy, I'm not joking. You could go back 35 years and a young Joe Prano in Zubaz Mets pants and a gotcha t-shirt will give you, like, you can probably find you can find now 40 something year old men who sat in the Bedford Village town pool snack bar area and are like, bro, I'm just trying to have a grilled cheese. I'm not trying to hear a fucking TED talk about why baseball needs a salary cap. Do you want some of my fun dip or not? Please get off the table.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's sad because not to get nostalgic, but the Andy Ruther of 1990 who's like, oh, my Reds can win the World Series is like a distant memory.
And here's the thing about baseball. There's still, my team can win the World Series, but it's a long shot. And here's the thing that every baseball fan that has a brain should know going back literally 50 years. Your team can't win 3 World Series. I mean, how many World Series did the fucking Big Red Machine win?
2.
You can catch lightning in a bottle, but then at some point, the Yankees are going to come fucking steal your shit.
That bottle needs money at some point.
How did Paul O'Neill celebrate his Cincinnati Reds World Series championship?
I mean, he's traded, but still, Yankees. Yeah, it's crazy. And obviously, a team can make it. I'm not saying they can't through savvy moves, good drafting, developing their prospects. It's not like you can't. I'm not saying it's completely bleak, but you're one step behind. Where again, I think basketball and football, you're like, oh, they're pretty equal. The Milwaukee Bucks can win a title, and then they can have like a good run and be good for a while. Small market. It's feasible. Well, celebrate today. I know you will.
I'm ecstatic. It really, though, is bittersweet. No one ever wanted it to come to this. But if we're going to do it, well,
better be your team, right?
Yeah. Then I'm fucking Adam Sandler on the playground. Now you're all in big, big trouble. Yankee fans will deny it until the day they die, which will probably be today because they'll kill themselves. But this is the most major shift we've ever seen this is the biggest power shift in Major League Baseball in ever. The Yankees aren't even the richest and most important and most exciting team in New York City.
Who all was really going for Soto? Besides
Mets,
those two.
Yankees, Red Sox. Dodgers were apparently in the mix for a minute. Phillies apparently were in the mix for a minute. Blue Jays were apparently in the mix for a minute. He's not playing in fucking Toronto.
No.
He was never going to happen. You know what's so funny? Here's the funniest thing about it. Vegas had Mets as the favorite to land Soto from day one. And the reason, and by day one, I mean not day one after the season. Not mid-season last year. Mid-season last year, they had the Yankees. Okay? The reason the Mets had the number one chance to land Juan Soto is because they have the most money and the way they finished their year. Right? You're not going to sign less money to play with a team that has less future, less excitement. Okay?
Yeah.
So the Mets were always the favorites. But what's amazing is everybody said the Mets are going to the reason the Mets are going to exist in this negotiation is Scott Boras is going to use the Mets to drive the price up for the Yankees. The Mets have all this money. They want Juan Soto. He wants to be in the Bronx. Boras wants him to be in the Bronx. They're going to let the Mets offer it up to $750 million, and then the Yankees are going to come in and snag him at the end. They'll pay $5 million less, or they'll pay $5 million more, or they'll pay whatever, but they'll get him because that's where he wants to be. And the reason that he's not going to sign for $550 million is Steve Cohen has all this money. This is where the absolute fucking once in a lifetime, once in history of baseball power shift happened. Turns out the Yankees were only in it to drive the price up on the Mets the whole time. That's the sound of the Earth's crust cracking open and the Yankees falling into it. Bye forever. Ding dong, the witch is dead.
Well, it's the Yankees. I mean,
Get fucked. We blew up the Death Star. No, that's
they're
not.
But they're going to put up a fight, is my point.
Are they?
Yeah. Come on. It's the Yankees, man. It is funny that he would leave on the day that it's revealed that Jay-Z had a civil lawsuit.
May the Yankee have more famous than a Yankee can.
About 13-year-old gang rape. Which, by the way, everybody saw coming.
Yeah. What I'm saying is the brand is dead. The brand's deader than Babe Ruth.
Look at that, Joe. We did all that time on baseball.
Oh. Now go sign Pete Alonso. Go sign a pitcher. Yada, yada, yada. Tell me the date of the parade.
I would put my money the Mets don't win the Super Bowl. Don't win the World Series.
Well, you think it's the Super Bowl, so no one cares what you think, Andy.
My mind was on the Chiefs. That's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about the Kansas City Chiefs and how many haters they still have.
I mean, I checked it last night within 1 minute of each other. 9:22 and 9:23 respectively. We both trolled fans about the uprights being rigged.
Well, you know what's interesting about all these Chiefs close wins? Everyone views it as, oh, they're not that good. They're playing close games. Where I view it differently, and I go, good teams win close games. You know, it's a weird way to view it. Hey, this isn't previous Chiefs teams. They're barely beating teams. Again, weird memory because they went 11-6 last year.
Mm-hmm.
They've already won more games than they won last year. So that's a weird way to look at it. And even people I respect, former players, I'll see post, this isn't the Chiefs team. I guess my question for those people is, what do you want? What bothers you about a last-second walk-off field goal against a division team that has a great defense?
Listen, the Chiefs are not – this isn't the best version of the Chiefs we've ever seen.
No, and I agree in that.
And there's other teams that are playing great, especially in the NFC. And the Bills looked great, although the Bills fucking lost. But here is my thing with the Chiefs. If the Chiefs get a bye, you better beat them You better beat them in the divisional round of the playoffs.
Totally 100% agree.
Every single game.
100% agree.
As you get closer to the end, the Chiefs get more and more dangerous. Your chances of beating the Chiefs in an AFC championship game, I don't care who you are slim. Your chances of beating the Chiefs in a Super Bowl are almost non-existent. Cool story, Lions. Your coach hits on all his fourth down things. Good luck with that. Good luck with when it comes down to the last second of the game. And it's Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid and the Chiefs versus the fucking Detroit Lions. Good luck when it's the Eagles and Jalen Hurts versus. We saw it.
Well, that's another thing that I wanted to bring up. I saw, I was thinking it's like the Chiefs, the teams they play make the mistakes, i.e., the penalty, and they don't. And that's, again, should be something we view from a positive side instead of the negative. Hey, they're barely winning games. And I'll say, but they don't make mistakes at the end. They're not that Bengals player. I forget who it was, maybe Pratt in the AFC Championship who does the terrible late hit, which causes the field goal. They're not the guy, whatever it was, holding in the Super Bowl on the Eagles. They don't do that because they're well coached on both sides of the ball.
Get it called on them because the game is rigged for them.
Exactly. It's like they just don't make those mistakes. And I wholeheartedly agree with you. They're two games up right now for the bye, which is huge. And you're right.
It's just like the pressure mounting and the stakes being raised and going to again. Eli Manning was on the Roommates podcast with Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson. Break out your morning beers at 6 a.m. here. Eli Manning's been brought up, but it was a great episode. Eli Manning was on the Roommates podcast, and what they said, they asked him about playing in the Super Bowl, and he said the hardest part about playing in the Super Bowl is every single week of the NFL season is essentially exactly the same. You're either at home and you're sleeping in your bed, or you're on the road and you're sleeping in your bed every night except the night before the game. The Super Bowl is a totally different experience. You're there for a fucking week. You have to do, you're not even just going to practice and then going to fucking Chick-fil-A and then going home to play fucking Madden. You have media day. You have all the pictures. You have all the, he said, the hardest part about the Super Bowl is it is nothing like any other week of the year. And he said, I did everything I could to make it the same. I would bring my massage guy, my personal massage guy, the guy who massaged me in New Jersey, to Indianapolis or to whatever, to just try to have some semblance of normalcy. The Chiefs are there every fucking year, dude. At this point, Super Bowl week is extremely normal for the Chiefs.
Like it was for the Patriots.
Not Eli Manning. They were there twice in 20 years. They're there. Patrick Mahomes has been there 5 fucking times.
Well, it's this type of stat that I see that everybody talks about. Like, here's a stat where everybody tries to be all negative. The Chiefs are the 26th team to ever start 12-1. But they have the worst point differential. They're only plus 89, and there's 12 wins of any of those teams that started 12-1. So, like, that's my point. Is everybody comes out and go, oh, well, what's the worst ever for a team to start 12-1?
Let me. I bet you. I would love to see the point differential for 12-1 teams that won the Super Bowl the year before. You're getting everybody's best game. That's all. Look at how many times in the NFL we go, Super Bowl. What's the phrase? Super Bowl hangover? They're not hungover. They're getting every team's best game.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have fucking 3 Super Bowls already. They're beyond getting every team's best game.
And look, I'm not saying that they're 100% win the Super Bowl. I'm not. All I'm saying is I find it odd that when we do this now every week, the dismissing of a continuing to win. We all know how hard it is to win in the division against a team like the Chargers who are going to play defense. You and I both knew. I guarantee, watching that game, I know I did. Oh, you only got a field goal? Good luck. Now all Mahomes has to do is get a field goal. on one drive at the end. Yeah, this game's over.
And they got it down to the whatever. They took a knee. Andy Reid took it down to 1 second. He wasn't like, let's run it in. What if they score again? What if you I'm afraid to kick a field goal.
I mean, if you look right now.
What if we miss it?
If you look at the playoffs and things played out as of today, the Chiefs would play at home after a bye, the winner of Texans-Baltimore.
Well, not necessarily the winner of Texans-Baltimore, but.
Oh, you're right. They reseed. You're right.
Right.
I always forget that.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, man. I think the hardest one for them in that divisional game would be to beat the Chargers a third time. I really like the Chargers' chances in that one. Try to beat the Chargers a third time.
Yeah. Because the pressure is going to be building for everybody else.
Yeah.
And they're just going to keep getting stronger.
100%. And obviously every team has their question marks. Every team's going to have them. The Bills, I thought the Rams would give, I didn't think the Rams would put that many points, but it's like the Bills have question marks for sure. At times on defense. They did against the Ravens. They now have done it against the Rams. Josh Allen plays a great game.
Crazy game. Josh Allen's the MVP, right?
I think right now he is. I mean, Lamar's having a great year statistically. And whether it's fair or not, compared to his other years, I think this is his best year. Where you're at as a team matters. And they're obviously coasting to the lead in the East versus the Ravens, who are 2 games back.
But also, by the way, I don't think Lamar Jackson had a 6 touchdown game on the season.
Yeah, I don't think he has either. Aren't you happy you took the Steelers, Brano?
I mean,
you didn't. I'm saying you didn't have to sweat that out. Like that game was over by the third quarter.
But I did think I was going to sweat it out no matter what. I got to say, I did have a tweet queued up about you saving my suicide season. It was you as I even photoshopped your face onto David Hasselhoff running into the surf to save my suicide season by convincing me to pick the Steelers.
Oh, had the Dolphins lost?
Had the Dolphins lost. But hey, Jets gonna Jets. That was my other, that's the other thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody advanced though. The other 2 teams took the Eagles against the fucking Panthers. Could you imagine if they had been? That would have been great. And then the third guy took the Saints over the Giants.
Yeah, I thought the Eagles would struggle in that game, and they did. You want me to play this A.J. Brown clip you added?
I mean, at first, so Dov Kleinman is the one that tweeted that.
We don't know who's running this account at this point.
I don't even really know. I don't even really understand that account. I'll be totally honest with you.
It was sold allegedly.
But is Dov Kleinman a person? Like, is that somebody's name?
There's all these weird conspiracies on it.
Okay. Anyway, the point is he added his own fucking thing to it. But the tweet aside, the content of AJ Brown's interview to me is interesting. Would you not agree?
I'll be honest, I haven't watched it. Let's pull it up. I just saw it was on the run. I just ripped it. Hold on. Let's pull it up. Let's see what we got here.
AJ Brown, aka Jalen Hurts security blanket, aka the person that Jalen Hurts sees in his mind when he closes his eyes and throws the ball downfield.
Good enough. What are some things you think that the offense needs to improve on? Passing. AJ, I know everybody wants to get in a rhythm, and Devontae was acknowledging that. You know, receivers, just like running backs, want to get in rhythm. How hard is
Oh, shit.
What happened?
Losing my mind. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm switching this thing up too much. All right. Let's play this again.
Offense wasn't good enough. What are some things you think that the offense needs to improve on? Passing.
AJ, I know everybody wants to get
He looks
in a rhythm,
pissed.
and Devontae was acknowledging that. You know, receivers, just like running backs, want to get in rhythm.
So he said passing.
Yeah. What do they need to improve? He said passing. There's more to it. I don't know if you're.
What? Oh, there's more. Sorry, that's only when I ripped it. That's the only thing that showed up. Oh, did it? Hold on. Let me see. Sometimes it does the half video. Oh yeah. There's more to it. Wait. Hold on. Let me see if I got a full thing.
I mean, that is pretty telling, just that part of the answer, but it does keep going. He essentially throws
What are
Jalen
some
Hurts
things
under
you
the
think
bus.
that the offense needs to improve on?
No, that's all I got.
Oh, okay. They say like how, receivers like to get into a rhythm, blah 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 blah. And he just kind of like he essentially just calls out the team's inability to get any sort of passing rhythm going.
I do have the full clip if we want, but yeah, I don't have to play it. Okay. So basically, how did he do yesterday? I didn't look at his numbers.
I believe Jalen Hurts was 14 for 21 for 108 yards or something like that. So unless AJ Brown had all of the yards, which he didn't.
108 yards, 14-21, 2 touchdowns. Brown had 4 targets, 4 catches, 43 yards. So there wasn't much passing.
And essentially, you're like, why so dour? You guys won. Your quarterback completed 66% of his passes and scored and threw for 2 touchdowns. And you had 4 receptions and averaged over 10 yards a catch. And I think why he's dour is, why the fuck are we struggling to beat the Carolina Panthers? The reason we're struggling to beat the Carolina Panthers is our quarterback is sus. And you don't blow out teams running the ball down their throat slowly.
What's so interesting is that you have one conference which is completely stacked at QB. The AFC is stacked. And then you look at the NFC, we got all these questions. We did it last week. Oh, who do we trust? The Eagles versus the Lions. And then we're looking at Jalen Hurts versus Jared Goff. Who do we trust more? And then you got Jordan Love, who's got the biggest ceiling of all those guys, but he can get turnover prone. It's like, that's what I think.
But when you look at the NFC playoffs or potential NFC playoffs teams, and then you look at the AFC playoffs and potential AFC playoff teams, what potential playoff quarterback in the NFC do you trust the most?
In the NFC?
Yeah. Just quarterback. Who you trust the most? Mine's clear.
It's probably Jordan Love.
Stafford.
Oh, okay. Well, they're not in the playoffs yet.
Right. But potential playoff team?
I would put Stafford. You're right.
And then you'd go Love?
I'd probably go Love then.
And then you'd go who? Goff or Hurts? Coin flip?
Is a coin flip.
Okay. So the potential playoff teams in the NFC, the quarterback we trust the most is currently out of the playoffs. The quarterback we trust the second most is behind the top 2 standout teams. And then you get to the top 2. Whereas in the AFC, year in and year out, we trust Pat Mahomes the most. Then we trust Josh Allen the second most. And they're going to be the 2 seed. And then who do we trust the third the most?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like Mahomes, Allen, Lamar Jackson, who obviously you and I don't really trust in the playoffs, but Herbert, you got guys, even Stroud. I mean, Stroud won a playoff game as a rookie. It's like, it's way more stacked.
But it just also lines it lines up more with like the we believe in the Lions and the Eagles more than we believe in Hurts and Goff. But we believe in the Chiefs and the Bills because we believe in
And their
Mahomes and
quarterbacks.
Allen. We believe that the Chargers are scary because they have Herbert.
Correct. And defense and a coach. Yeah, for sure.
We have, for as long as he's been in the league, despite their record, despite his regular season performance, have not believed in the Ravens and have not been burned by that not belief in the Ravens because we don't believe in their quarterback.
You know, the to go back to the Chiefs real quick.
Anyway, AJ Brown also doesn't believe in the before
I don't know. I mean, look,
before Brandon Ward.
Take it with a grain of salt, though.
Before Brandon Ward slides in my DMs through a burner, talking about hoagies and fucking whatever.
You got to take it with a grain of salt, though. Look, wide receivers get disgruntled easily. Like I don't personally put that much into that, saying we got to improve our passing game. He was clearly upset after the game. I think they were expecting a big blowout. The Cardinals. Carolina's been playing teams much tougher. And Bryce Young, after I put him to dead, he's risen.
Bryce Young and your boy
Brandon Ingram
are two members of a new Banana Boat crew. Andy Ruther's Banana Boat crew.
Oh yeah, we can put that list together for sure. The Andy Ruther Banana. I'm sure there's a third, the dream team of Ruther's crew that he retired way too early. Jameis is back to being Jameis. Things are working themselves out. 2 more interceptions.
I mean, he's not back to being Jameis. He threw 3 picks last week, and 2 of them were pick sixes.
True.
He never stopped being Jameis. But did you see
him
in the pregame video? He's dancing. Maybe he should be serious for once.
Yeah. I know. Maybe don't do that. I'm gonna play a call about the Jets. This was I believe this was left last week. I'm sure it probably still holds up.
Hey Joe, hey Andy. It's Jeff with a G from New Jersey, and I was just driving home thinking about the East Rutherford Jets and where they go from here, because when you hit rock bottom, there's no way else but up. And I was thinking, maybe they draft a quarterback, maybe they, draft to rebuild this defense that has fallen off, or, maybe in the off season they find a hot new coach like a Rabel. And then it kind of hit me that they really have 0 of the 3 pillars that you guys are always talking about. And then it hit me even more that it doesn't matter if they had 1, 2, or even 3 of those pillars, because those pillars are more like legs to a chair. And on top of all 3 of them is a stool, and that stool is the owner. And Woody Johnson might be one of the worst owners in the league. So even if they miraculously stumbled into a good coach, a good defense, and a good QB at the same time, which has never happened in his 24 years of owning the team, and I have no faith will happen in his next whatever years owning the team, that they're just going to be bad. Just going to constantly be bad. They never win a Super Bowl as long as he owns the team. And I know there's probably a lot of franchises that feel this way. And I just wanted to ask you guys, do you think it's more possible to win despite having a terrible owner, or are all these franchises just doomed until some new guy comes in who can actually run an organization? Thanks. Have a good day.
Man, the despair from Jeff with a G. You can just hear it in his voice as a Jets fan. Look, man, it matters who's up top.
It does, and also it doesn't. But there's one distinct thing. And listen, I'm wearing my Knicks thing right now. And the Knicks have not won a championship with James Dolan. And there's a chance that the Knicks do not win a championship with James Dolan. But the current situation in the New York Knicks with James Dolan is somewhere where I never thought it would be. And that is because forever, James Dolan was a meddling owner who wanted Melo, so we got Melo, and the team derailed for the better part of a fucking decade. There's Jerry Jones, who has been meddling with the Cowboys forever. You can be a disastrous fucking owner and still say, you are my president of football. Go do president of football things, and I will put my feet up at the table and watch you do it. The New York Giants, I don't know if you know this, but I believe it was in the 70s, essentially had control taken from them by the NFL. The NFL was like, you guys are incapable of running your own franchise. So you have to have this guy run your team. And everything has been, obviously, we know what has happened in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s and the 2010s. These days with social media, we talk about the press before. This guy gets the headlines. Now with social media, now with everybody's got a phone, now more than ever, you need to go, I'm just the owner. I just pay the bills. CEOs are getting shot. It shouldn't be about you. I joked yesterday. My 3 bullet casings will read Daniel, DeVito, and Drew. My 3 bullet casings will read Dable, defense, and Daniel. Like, just get somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing, who gets paid, what, $1 million a year? What do we think fucking John Lynch makes from the Niners? Certainly not what fucking their owner takes away from the Niners. But look at the Niners before and after John Lynch took over. Look at the Knicks before
He makes 3 to 5
gave up
million.
his power. Yeah.
Estimate.
Look at even the New York Mets with Steve Cohen before David Stearns came in and goes, cool, you have an open checkbook. I will make the decisions on how to. All you have to do, I will tell you how much to write in the amount line. I will tell you whose name to put on it. All you have to do is fucking sign it. But this goes for my team too. For your owners to have these fucking major say in your team when they don't necessarily know what the fuck they're doing.
Well, I think ownership does matter as far as winning a Super Bowl. It matters in this regard. You are the CEO. You're the leader. And part of leading, I agree with you, is letting others make decisions and letting others knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses as a leader, right? I think as a person, you should know your strengths. I always say this. I was trying to know what I'm good at and what I'm bad at. And the Jets are a prime example. And I don't know because I don't follow the Jets closely enough. But if you need to have your hand on everything, a la a Jerry Jones, dude, you're not successful.
Do you know what Woody Johnson looks like?
I know what he looks like.
Yeah, I know what he looks like. You know what Jerry Jones looks like?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what Lamar Hunt looks like? I mean, he's dead, but do you remember him?
No.
I know what Al Davis looks like.
Yeah.
I know what Mark Davis looks like. Do you know what Art Rooney looks like? Do you know what the kid what the Rooney son who runs the team looks like?
I have no clue.
No clue. You know what John Mara looks like?
I do.
Yeah.
I have no clue. Who's the Niners owner at this point?
Fucking what? I'm blanking on the name. You would know it if you heard it.
Is it Italian?
No, that's what. You're thinking of the last guy.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the last guy. Point is, I don't know.
York.
What is it?
Jed York.
Okay. I have no clue what he looks like. But that is a good point. If I know what you look like, your team's not doing good. Also, nepotism. Don't do what the Joneses do. Don't do what the Bengals do. Oh, the whole front office is your kids and your kids' husbands and your kids' wives or whoever. Sorry, you suck. And I do like that's where I really do. I don't think
we all know what Robert Kraft looks like because we had to watch him hold the trophy 7 fucking times.
Yeah. And like I know what the Ravens owner. I don't see him much. I know what the Ravens owner looks like because I've seen him hold the trap. I saw him trying to fight with Ray Lewis over the trophy because Ray Lewis was trying to speak. By the way, too much. By the way, there's rumors that Ray Lewis might be hired as a college head coach. Which can you imagine that? Trying to use the Dion model. Can you imagine Ray Lewis, head coach? Can you imagine that guy?
They're bringing Jesus back to the classroom, right?
The rumor, Florida Atlantic, they say it's false. Okay, but back to the call. I actually do think it really matters. I mean, the Bucks recently won. They made a lot of good decisions. Who's the Bucks owner? Glazer? What does he look like?
Yeah.
I know what the Eagles owner looks like just because he got the Asian wife and they show him a lot.
Yeah.
Lori.
Yeah.
But I do think it matters. And I think a good team can only overcome so much sometimes. But look, Joe, you and I just did this. We just did this last week. What did we say? Like our power rankings of our power 5 of all-time dumpster fire NFL franchises, ones that go back to the 60s. It's Jets, Bengals, Browns, Lions, Chargers. And some could argue maybe some other teams, maybe some people want to put the Vikings in there. I wouldn't because they haven't won a Super Bowl either. But like, what's the common thread as far as at least the Bengals, Lions, and the Bengals, Lions, and Chargers? They've had the same family ownership since the time they started. But I don't know what the Jets do. I mean, if you look it up right now, the Jets are.
Well, unfortunately, Bill Belichick hates the Jets. But what you need is a president of football. That's what you need.
But the problem is right now, I know things can change.
But the Jets do the same thing every year. The Jets don't change anything,
10.
and then they go out and they try to lure this quarterback to be the savior. You need quarterback defense. Who hires the coach, the quarterback, and the defense?
Well, the problem with the Jets, look, the Jets would be 7th right now picking. The problem is you guys whiffed in your last 2 top 3 picks at quarterback. You had Darnold and you had Zach Wilson, and you whiffed.
Darnold looks pretty good, and Geno Smith looks pretty good.
Yeah. Darnold have to he throw 5 touchdowns? I got burned on that one. I think you did too. I think we both thought Kirk Cousins would give him a game. He didn't. Got burned on that one. Darnold looks good, but neither of us trust him in the playoffs.
No, of course we don't. But the dumpster fire isn't the Jets quarterbacks. The dumpster fire is the Jets.
True.
You need a president of football to hire a good GM, to hire a good coach, and you have to build. Absolutely. You can't just this guy talk about legs of a chair. If you have a wooden chair and a leg snaps off, you better be a fucking master carpenter to put that leg back on. You're honestly probably better off in the amount of time that it's going to cost you, time, materials, craftsmanship. Just buy a new fucking chair.
Yeah.
The chair's never going to be as sturdy as it once was. Stop going to get over the hill Packers quarterbacks whose teammates hate them.
Nobody hated. What are you talking about? Who hated who? I don't think the teammates hated either of those guys.
I think they hated Favre and Rodgers for just becoming sideshows.
No one's ever said anything about either of those, though.
I think as a whole, not as like on a personal level, but it's just like enough. Why do I have to show up to training camp every year and talk about whether or not Favre's retiring?
I don't know. How about the Seahawks?
How
There's
about them Seahawks?
I mean, there's a surprise team though. 8-5.
I mean, I think a lot of people had them as potentially winning the division.
Did they?
I mean, I think a lot of people still were probably on the Niners, but I think a lot of people had them as probably an outside shot to win the division.
I thought most people would have it behind the Niners and the Rams.
Yeah.
But again, it's an ownership group. I believe, what was it? Paul Allen's sister is kind of like the de facto owner. It's in a trust, but the point is, like, back to that call, they make the right moves. They let people go out and trust what they trust what they're doing to make the right signings. I mean, I don't see them doing anything in the playoffs.
No. But with the fan base that you have there, and Seattle's a really nice place to live, and you're running the team the right way, and you build a little defense, you get a little running back, you play a certain type of football. Hey, maybe you lure some guys there. You know, you don't just immediately jump back into being a Super Bowl contender. Also, you look at a team like that. Geno Smith's been fine, but Geno Smith's not taking you to the top. Like, you can also build a team and then figure that one spot out, right? Look at what the Bucs did. Look what the Niners will hopefully eventually do. Look at what, there's a lot of teams out there where you just go, hey, we've got everything we need. Now let's figure out the quarterback, as opposed to let's get a quarterback with the first overall pick, not have any defense, not have any offensive line, get him killed, and hope that he's mentally strong enough to last through that part of the thing without Andy Ruther going, he sucks. Get him the fuck out of football. He's cooked. He's washed.
I'm pulling up, speaking of Seattle, I'm pulling up my boy Russ, the old Seahawks QB. Guess who's next up on the list for most passing TDs? Guess who's in front of him now?
Who?
Your boy Eli.
Oh, wow. Of all-time passing TDs, you're saying?
Eli's 11th. Russ is 12th. He's only 20 away. And, I saw your post. You take digs at Russ. What about the second half? What about the second half of yesterday?
No, listen. Here's the thing, Andy. I switched. You convinced me. There's two games. And you convinced me. I was on the fence. I went Dolphins. You changed my mind. I absolutely trust Russ at this point more than I trust Aaron Rodgers. I trust the Steelers. It was really about me less so trusting, Jameis not to have a fucking freak out where they play some high scoring game or whatever. But also, as I said last week, my fear is I don't want to sweat out the Steelers have to come back because Russ throws for 40 yards in the first fucking half, which for some reason he does all the time.
I think
his numbers are that much more impressive when you realize that they all came in the second half of football games because the dude can't throw for fucking 75 yards in the first half of football game in his career.
Like yesterday's game, I think he's like extra conservative in the first half of these games. Which, by the way, I'd rather have with the defense, right? If you have a team like the Steelers, you go, okay, I'd rather have a guy be more conservative than reckless. I mean, the Steelers are going to be a real interesting team come playoffs because
my issue with Russ, and this is obviously not yesterday. He played great yesterday, but my issue with Russ is historically, if you're a Steelers fan, and I know Steelers fans don't want to hear this, but if you're a Steelers fan, if you got to go through 4 rounds of the playoffs, I'm more worried about Russ having one of those first halves followed by having one of those second halves than I am confident he plays complete football. Like he goes on this mega run where he goes 4 straight games of playing great football. Like, we've seen this before. We saw it Russ versus the Rams in the playoffs. We saw Russ versus, I think it was the Cowboys in the playoffs, where you just like, oh, all of a sudden those first halves that you have come in the same game, and then they're done.
Yeah, I mean,
who do the Steelers play? Who do the Steelers play to start the playoffs if the playoffs started today?
Oh, it'd be tough. Chargers. I mean, that's a tough one. Now they beat the Chargers. He didn't start. It was early. Yeah. Week 3.
The game would be in Pittsburgh the way it was before.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean that's a tough week 1 or a tough playoff opening round. I agree. I mean, look, that's what to me makes it very interesting for sure. I also think Russ is, because he's an egomaniac, I think he's fully aware at this point of where his legacy is. And I don't know if that makes if the pressure is too much. I'm just saying Russ knows, like, he's got to know, dude, if I lose right away in the playoffs, it's a major hit for my Hall of Fame status. Now, if I win, I probably stay where I'm at. Now, if I somehow win 2 games and get to an AFC Championship game, then it's like, oh, I'm probably maybe back in the Hall of Fame. Also, contract talks. And the same can be said for Tomlin. Doesn't win a playoff game in 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
I bet he's feeling like, dude, I got to win at least 1. I got to win 1. That is the team I would not want to play of any of the teams, is the Chargers.
Although if you were going to play them, that's the game you want them going west to east. You want them going west to east, probably on the Saturday.
True. But I'm saying, like, as a late seed, as a 6 or 7 seed, that nobody wants to play Chargers.
Yeah.
The Chiefs play, you talk about, I didn't realize this. You talk about hating this. The Chiefs and the Steelers play on Christmas Day after they play on Sunday. They play Wednesday. Like, there's not a big layoff for either of those teams. Just side note. I just was like, why are we doing this? They don't care. And we're gonna eat it up. But I think the Chargers, again, for me, are like that team that I wouldn't want to play. And moving forward, I think they're going to be a real interesting team come playoff time.
I agree. And listen, we might look dumb because they go west to east and lose their first round game to the Steelers. But again, like that, going to play the Steelers or going to play the Bills, that's where it's going to get tough for the Chargers. But you get through that game, you become dangerous. Then all of a sudden going, LA to Kansas City for a second round game, coming off a bye. Obviously, Andy Reid's great off a bye, but coming off one of those situations, that's where I'd be like, man, that's the game I would fear the Chiefs for. And then I go, if they get through that division rival game for the third time in the season, after a little bit of a layoff, after probably not having to play a meaningful game in the better part of a month, probably get a scare. Now watch out. Now they've got their powers back. I wouldn't want to be Buffalo going into Arrowhead after that.
Look, there's a part of me that think it would be really cool to see a team three-peat. I'll just be honest. It's never happened before. But there's also part of me that'd be really cool to see a Bills win a Super Bowl or a Lions win a Super Bowl because they never won it before.
Yeah, of course. That's the best part about the NFL.
So it's like the storylines are they're very interesting. But yeah, man,
I don't want to see humans eat fecal matter. So let's hope it's not the Eagles. But, otherwise, let's have a little fun. Let's have a fun postseason.
Well, let us know, guys. 310-359-8365. That's the hotline. Give us a ring. Let us know what you think. You got anything else you want to add for today's show?
No, we'll come back. We'll come back next episode. We'll talk a little hoops.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, Nikola Jokic is losing his mind lately.
Yeah, I saw he's been playing real well.
Yeah. And it's tough because they're not it's one of those Godzilla and the Beach Boys around him or whatever. Like he's going 50 and 15 and 15 or whatever, and they're fucking playing close games. But the NBA season is shaping up very nicely. I think it's gonna be exciting. We're getting there. We're getting towards Christmas Day, the official start of NBA season. That's exciting. Baseball. This is the first, this was the domino. A lot of teams were waiting on Juan Soto and the Juan Soto price. Boris obviously reps a lot of clients. Juan Soto was taking the majority of his time up. We're now going to see, I imagine, a flurry of baseball activity. So that's super fun. And NFL playoffs are upon us. And also college football playoffs are upon us, which it's so sad. This is what you have to fear if you're a sports fan. You have to fear your sport doing this. You have to fear your sport being so fucking terrible that you finally get it to a spot where, like, if this was 15 years ago, I'd be so psyched for this college football playoff. And now I literally do not care.
Yeah, obviously I've seen the talk and the debates about the 3-loss Bama versus like a 2-loss SMU. Again, I don't follow it, but I agree. You guys you're too late to the game for me. I don't really care enough. I'll put you on if you're background noise. If I'm doing something else,
yeah,
you can be a nice little background noise for me. But I can't passionately get into it. And
to not do this before you had fully raped your sport with NIL and no one going to fucking school and conferences. I think I saw who was it? Did Arizona State win the Big Ten yesterday or something like that? Like, what the fuck is happening?
They won the Big 12.
Big 12, like that's so unbelievably stupid.
It was again. I put it on. As I was like doing the dishes.
I would say Bill Walton is rolling over in his grave, but I think we all know he's not a grave. Everybody knows that I was turned into ash and thrown into the air in San Diego, and I'm just blowing in the Santa Ana winds. I'm rolling over in the air every day as those winds blow in and out. I'm rolling over, throwing down a little ash on each one of you.
Well, you don't think that Big 12 football is Arizona State versus Iowa State at the Jerry Dome in front of maybe half full stadium? You
No.
don't think? Yeah, exactly.
No, I don't.
Exactly. Nobody does. If I have to look up what conference you're in, and you're a power school or you're a traditional Power 5 school, I don't know how you get into it. But not just that.
Either your NFL team sucks, you live in a place that doesn't have an NFL team, or you're just a straight up fucking loser who will spend full on your entire weekend caring about shit that fucking doesn't matter. Like college football, I think there's something to like when you grow out of drinking 45 beers on a weekend, you wake up like, I think you have to get sober from college football.
Yeah, it's a shame. All right, well, that's the show, guys.
Follow me on social media at Joe Prano. Come see a show, joeprano.com, for you guys who are in like the Mountain West or whatever. Early notice, but end of January, I'm coming back to the Last Best Comedy in Bozeman, Montana, one of my favorite clubs in the whole world. Come see me there.
The WAC, the Western Athletic Conference.
Okay, there you go.
I don't know.
The SWAC?
Boise State made it in from one of those conferences.
Great.
I think the Mountain West or something like that. Who knows? All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on Friday. Have a great week.
Let's go Mets.
And always stay dirty.